This is all about bringing people together, not just in the rare disease research community, but across regulators, across patients, and across countries.
It's really enriching to hear the stories and journeys of all these patients and the work that the researchers and clinicians have been doing with their patients to improve the quality of research and care in rare diseases.
So we have a great discussion. We have incredible people on stage from all over Europe, even beyond Europe. We have American colleagues making the trip to Dublin, and it is really a very important meeting today.
The Rare Disease Clinical Trial Network is a HRB-funded clinical trial network aimed at delivering an increased activity in clinical trials in rare diseases. And a rare disease is where it affects less than 1 person in 2,000, and there's been a lack of these trials ongoing in Ireland for many years. So this initiative was funded to improve that activity and to deliver more trials for patients, both investigational trials looking at drugs, devices, and also observational studies to better understand rare disease. And so it's a network of researchers, clinicians, patients and the public to deliver this and to work across many different hospital sites. And this conference is here to bring together all of those people to further that mission.
This whole conference for me is about collaboration. So it's really a time of opportunity. It's a window to get better clinical evidence, to find and use data better, to enable real-time and real-world data based on patient experience. And conferences such as this, I think, give opportunities for us to make those connections. So I'm delighted to have the opportunity to talk to you. Well, I'm very impressed, as I always am. I also feel that things have come so far. It's a real time of opportunity now. The challenge is to really translate those connections into action that will make a difference for people living with rare diseases.
I'm going to discuss basic science and translational medicine. So it's interesting because I think my big message is a message of hope. I'm going to show you that over a very long time period, when people understand the condition, when people understand the mechanisms of the condition, when many people working in different setting partner, you can end up with a very positive outcome. A conference like the one we are attending today in Dublin, beautiful Dublin, is really great because it indicates how important it is to network, to work closely with patient organization, academic people, medical doctor, allied professionals, nurses, etc. And I think there is a lot of energy in that field, and I can feel it here in Dublin for developing not only knowledge, but also discoveries, research, and find new solutions for the patients. And the patients are in the room, and they listen to us and their families too.
This trial has currently enrolled 15,000 patients. 10,000 COVID-19 patients were included. And at its height, it was in 300 hospitals in 25 countries. So when you think of rare diseases where there's small numbers worldwide, this sort of trial that you could capture a lot of hospitals and also that you can have that extra efficiency, not a set sample size. So a lot of the results came a lot earlier than a traditional sample size. So with a lot less patients, you have a lot more opportunities to explore treatments.
It's very nice to get people from different specialties together because, you know, in the normal course of events, I meet neurologists and only neurologists, and we might talk about our individual neurological rare diseases, but I don't get to hear about, you know, lung diseases or renal or skin or any of those things. So it's nice to get different specialties. You get ideas about projects that may be useful or different ways of looking at things. And I think it's quite nice to have conferences where there are patients as well as industry and researchers and clinicians. You know, you get everyone's view on it, which you don't get necessarily at all of the academic conferences throughout the year.
I'm delighted to see the patients have been involved in the design of this conference from the very start, and we can see it all the way through today with patients in the speakers, also in the award section, in the posters here, and absolutely delighted to see there's 40 posters and so many of the patient voices are coming through on those posters. I'm delighted to see the accessibility needs that has been designed into this conference to ensure all can attend comfortably, and it's really enriching to have the patient voice and stories alongside what's happening and the up-to-date research that's out there in rare diseases.
Patients who live with rare disease often don't get the answers they need, don't get the treatments they need. They can be very isolated. They have this long journey to diagnosis. So what we see in rare disease research is that patients are often more involved than they are in other types, in other conditions, and more common conditions. And it also allows us to see the enormous benefit of them being involved as well, because they are bringing a different type of expertise to the table. They are bringing the lived expertise, which can totally change the direction of research and make sure that it's more meaningful, more relevant, that the outcomes are more usable by them. So having them at the table from the very start is really essential. The RDCTN is doing an exceptional job of supporting that, and it is very unusual actually to see it as such a strength in what is essentially a research network.
Ireland can be a great place to run clinical trials. We all know that. We've got a strong biopharmaceutical manufacturing company presence here in Ireland. As we've heard this morning, we've got a lot of global key opinion leaders who work here, treating and performing research here in Ireland. And we've got a very willing and adaptive policymaker community that includes politicians, aspects of the media, and of course, as we've heard today, from patients, patient associations and patient voices.
Me working in industry, I don't get to hear from the patients. So it's really important to get to hear people, and people are really willing to get up and speak. And that speaks to the work that's been done in PPI in this organisation. So there's a real commitment, and they really funded how do they go about engaging with patients and getting patients' feedback. So that's the biggest part. But the other thing is, if you are going to try and increase the number of rare disease trials in Ireland, then that needs to be organised, and you need to bring all those voices together, and that's what this organisation does really effectively.
And we talk about partnership and we talk about trust. But one thing I've learned over the last while, and I have to take my hat off to clinicians here, please take a bow, because Mary spoke about the burden on clinicians. It's not until you get into the partnership space and you talk to each other that you recognise these types of burdens. And I think unless we recognise each other's challenges, if we are not honest, and I mean totally honest, about our limitations or the challenges we face, we cannot build trust.
Yeah. Keeping rare diseases on the agenda and inviting families, policymakers, nurses, doctors, and the entire community of people working in rare diseases, bringing them together on a day like this is massively important. So we're all learning from each other and we're all moving in the same direction with the same vision.
There's just one last quote that I will say that kept coming back to me, because this lady said, "They're not assisting us, we are partners in this together." And that was said in many other ways, but that's a short way of putting it. We are partners in this together. And I believe strongly in that.
This conference is important to bring together all of these individual stakeholders, because the challenges in rare disease are many, and they're different depending on the different perspective. There's challenges from a clinical perspective. There's challenges for individuals living with rare disease and their families and engaging in these complicated studies. There's huge challenges in funding these. And then from an industry perspective, there's challenges in the regulation needed, the coordination to deliver such complex trials. So bringing people together to be able to discuss these issues, highlight some of the challenges, but also highlight some of the major advances that we've made. The success stories can then allow people to work together to deliver this in a much more concerted effort. So I think having people and having this dialogue is really important. And it allows people to present some of their findings, to network, to find new partners and new collaborators that'll hopefully deliver more trials and more research in these much needed diseases.